נעים. תודה עידן, ושלום לכולם. We will be moving now to English. It's a bit formal, I'm starting now, but dear ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to open on behalf of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom this panel in the context of the annual conference of the Rubinstein Center for Constitutional Challenges, a conference which is honoring the memory of the late Professor Amnon Rubinstein. And actually I want on this stage to stress that Amnon Rubinstein was a long-standing and dear friend of our foundation. For more than 4 decades, our foundation was engaged in an intellectual exchange with Amnon. We invited him to numerous conferences and seminars to share his unique insights with liberal circles in Germany, Europe, and around the world in our effort to strengthen the international liberal discourse. And as a German foundation promoting liberal values and policies in Germany and around the globe, we at the Friedrich Naumann Foundation shared a deep bond with Amnon based on a joint commitment to the same liberal value system with freedom and human dignity as the cornerstones for our liberal societies. And it's a great honor and pleasure for us to continue a partnership with those following his path and continuing his legacy, and I don't see them now whether they're in the room, but I mean, of course, Liav and Yaniv, Idan and Tal. Thank you for the trust and joint work in the frame of our cooperation between the Rubinstein Center and our foundation, the Friedrich Naumann Foundation. So now, in the frame of this conference, our panel now, I would say, is a bit special, not only because we moved to English, and the reason for this is that we have international guests from abroad, thought leaders and experts from Germany, Great Britain and Poland, and they will share in a minute their insights and thoughts and best practices with us. But at this stage, before I introduce them very briefly, I really want to use the opportunity and express our great appreciation and gratitude to each and every one of you that are standing here in line. Actually, you could have sit already. Sorry for you delay, right? So, Alexandra, Jake, Hannah, and Tom, thank you for following our invitation and for participating in our event in these difficult times here in Israel, in these times of war. So this cannot be taken for granted, so thank you so much for coming. Moreover, this panel is special since it is in fact a continuation of a symposium which the Rubinstein Center in collaboration with the Friedrich Naumann Foundation conducted at the beginning of May, and which examined the impact collective traumas from the past had and still have on our societies and constitutional international order. While the symposium in May focused more on the memory of the past events and impact of the notion of never again on our societies, in today's follow-up panel, we want to move from memory to action and discuss how we can really live up to the legacy of never again in more practical and concrete terms, taking into consideration the new dimension of anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli sentiments in today's international discourse, especially after October 7th, a dimension which makes us wonder whether never again is indeed here and now. Deborah Lipstadt once said, "We expected the Holocaust will make anti-Semitism unacceptable." And her conclusion, well, we were wrong, is a conclusion we all, I guess, painfully share with her. These days, we find many of our perceptions with regard to lessons learned from the past challenged, often in such a blunt way that it makes our jaw drop. I'm thinking just of the recent remarks of Lukashenko this week, the exclusion of Israelis at the weapon fair in France, threats to Jewish students at campuses, and more. The list, unfortunately, is very long. It should be clear to everyone that the current hate climate towards Jews in Israel is not a problem for Jews and Israelis alone, but it indeed is a climate which puts our democratic societies at risk. As a German citizen, I want to call out to my fellow citizens and fellow Europeans, wake up. This time you will not have the excuse that you did not know where this can and will lead to. It was always a bad excuse. And as an Israeli citizen, that I'm also, I want to tell my fellow Israelis, anti-Semitism is not a problem of Jews in the diaspora alone, but interlinked with our problems and lives here. Many did not understand this, I think, before October 7th, but do so now. And also I want to warn my fellow Israelis of the bear hugs of the right-wing nationalistic parties in Europe. Do not be mistaken, what you hear and see now is not how it will eventually play out. And to all my fellow liberals, Israelis and Europeans, and friends from Western societies who still cherish and still understand the value and importance of our liberal democracy, I want to call for an urgent reassessment of our communication measures and strategies. It is very obvious that what we used to do so far to combat anti-Semitism and anti-democratic tendencies is not sufficient and not efficient enough. For this, we need to think out of the box and combine efforts across borders and across disciplines. And this is exactly what we want to do with our panel today and with additional events that may follow in the future. So, sharing now their insights, thoughts, and ideas on these issues are Dr. Alexandra Klisinski-Krabias, from the Institute of Law Studies and Polish Academy of Sciences from Poland, obviously, Tom Khaled Würdemann, Center for Jewish Studies at the University of Heidelberg, and Hannah Feiler, President of the German Union of Jewish Students from Germany as well, and last but certainly not least, Jake Wallace-Simons, editor of the Jewish Chronicle and also of many books, but also of the recent one, Israelophobia. And leading the discussion will be Keren Bezalel from Channel 12, Foreign Policy Journalist. So thank you for your attention, and let's have a nice discussion.